my lane fast, call it high speed. I've been working hard, yeah, I've been working nightly. If you think you'll win, ha, nah, unlikely. I be taking shots, yeah, cold-blooded, icy. Watching numbers grow is what I call sightseeing. In the front row, run it up when they hype me. The following grows, they know how to ignite me. Call me CEO, I've been running right, see. And I ain't playing games, I create my own lane, making pleasure out of pain, turning losses into gains. I'm the boss, I'm making change. I've been rocking this exchange, popping off and risking things. Gonna make a fucking name, I just wanna be famous. But I don't want that cheap fame, no I'm not that vain. I just wanna be greatness. 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 Ain't no motherfucker in this world could do it like me. Open up your eyes and insert a little rising. You don't have to love me, you don't have to like me. Got enough love in myself, in my psyche. You should have the same in your brain nightly. If you wanna taste it, you can fucking try me. If you wanna hate it, you know where to find me. And if you go and hate this, you can fucking bite me. Okay, I'm going off every chance I get. I don't really take a loss, well, I'll admit. That's why I'll make it to the top, yeah, I commit. And no, I'm never getting lost, I get after it. Investing in my own stock, cause it's faster than any crypto hits go, let me spend. Everything that you see is something I invent. And it's only a percent. I'm gonna take shots. If I miss all, forget it. I'll take a fat loss just to learn all that's in it. I'm taking snapshots, learning how to fall and get it. I'm getting back up, always stand tall, don't sweat it. I never back up, I don't miss a thing or regret it. I'm always learning, you could call me academic. I'm always working, never been apathetic. That energy is like a poison, needs some antiseptic. Ain't no motherfucker in this world could do it like me. Open up your eyes and insert a little rising. You don't have to love me, you don't have to like me. Got enough love in myself, in my psyche. You should have the same in your brain nightly. If you wanna taste this, you can try me. If you wanna hate this, you know where to find me. And if you go and hate this, you can fight me. Ain't no motherfucker in this world could do it like me. Open up your eyes and insert a little rising. You don't have to love me, you don't have to like me. Got enough love in myself, in my psyche. You should have the same in your brain nightly. If you wanna taste it, you can fucking try me. If you wanna hate it, you know where to find me. And if you go and hate this, you can fucking fight me. No motherfucker in this world can do it like me. Open up your eyes and insert a little rising. You don't have to love me, you don't have to like me. Got enough love.
Hey, beautiful people. Welcome to Aussie True Crime. If you're new here, I like to cover mainly Australian true crime cases and any paranormal cases that I go on with Spirit Time. So I hope you'll stick around and listen to a few of my stories and like, share and subscribe to my channel. I see Tammy's in the chat and Crystal, Matt, beautiful Van. How are you all? First, I have to apologize that I moved my show till today from yesterday, but we had some exciting news happen this week, and I'm going to show you. So this is Niklaus Daniel. It's my new grandson that was born on the 29th of the 7th, so about 2 days ago. So yeah, I've been kind of tied up being doing nan duties, and yeah, so I just wanted to introduce him. But today I want to talk about another Australian solved case, and I'm going to be telling you about the case of Allison Baden Clay. So this is an Australian case. Today I'm only going to be laying out some of the bare facts, because basically if I told you every single fact in this case, we would be here all day. It's a huge case. I'm going to have some photos to go along. Hopefully it works. So this is Allison. So it's a huge case, and I do encourage, if you want to look more into it, because there is some really interesting things. There's also some books done on this case. So I'll just start at the beginning of the case. So in 2012, Allison Baden Clay, her maiden name was Dickie. Allison was a 43-year-old Australian woman and a mother of 3 children. Her daughters was Hannah, who was 10, Sarah, 8, and Ella, 5. Allison was also the wife of Gerard Baden Clay. The couple and their three children lived in a rented home in Brooksfield. Um, Brooksfield it's a little tight knit town just outside of Brisbane in the CBD of Queensland, and the family was relatively well known in the area. You know, what I mean, it was a popular area. It was considered quite a well off suburb, just for references. So Allison and Jordan, they were married on the 23rd of August, 1997, meaning that they would have been on their 15-year anniversary in 2012. Just trying to get the pictures to go with it. So there's their wedding. So Gerard Baden Clay was a confident man. He was a real estate agent in the area and formerly the president of the local Chamber of Commerce. He was considered quite the man around town in Brookfield. And Allison Baden Clay, she was a former beauty queen and an accomplished ballerina and a career woman. She was smart and well educated. Allison was fluent in several different languages and she also had her arts degree. So Allison spent time teaching English in Japan in her early 20s. Then Allison had been doing part-time work at her husband's real estate office at the time of when she disappeared. So now we're going to fast forward to Friday, April the 20th, 2012, where Gerard Baden Clay reported that his wife was missing. Jordan awoke that morning at 6 a.m. and his wife Allison was nowhere in the family home. He had not seen her since 10 p.m. the previous night. So at 6:20, Jordan sent his wife a text that said, "Good morning, hope you slept well. Where are you? None of the girls are up yet. Love." Jordan got no response from this, and their three daughters were also beginning to wake up and get ready for school and began to question where their mother was. Jordan told the girls that their mother had just gone for one of her usual walks in the morning, and in the meantime, Jordan got them ready and he showered and shaved and put on his work clothes. Sorry. So 20 minutes after Jordan sent another text, he tried to find Allison on his Friends app, which is an app basically that locates your friends via GPS on the mobile phones. However, it had no success in finding Allison. He texted Allison again at 6:41, saying, "Allison, getting concerned. Where are you?" The app didn't say either. "Two of the girls are up now. I'm dressed and about to make lunches. Please text me or call back. Love, Jordan." Jordan once again received no response from Allison at this point. So he phoned his parents who lived nearby within like 3 minutes of their house. His father, Nigel, and his sister, Olivia, were on their way to Jordan's and Allison's home to help find Allison. Olivia began to search their neighbourhood for Allison. She spoke to the mums at the girls' school. She spoke to council workers, a groundsman, but no one had seen Allison yet. Jordan then took Allison's car and drove her usual route to see if he could locate Allison along the way. And he also drove around Brookfield in a bit of an attempt to locate her or something before she returned home. But during this time, his father was at home getting the three girls ready for school, and about an hour after Jordan had woken up to find his wife missing, he decided to hit the panic button and called the police. Jordan phoned them at 7:15 a.m. He told the police that he had seen Allison at 10 p.m. the previous night. He had gone to bed and she was sitting on the lounge watching the footy show. Jordan was unsure if Allison had even came to bed that night, telling the police he was a really heavy sleeper and sometimes Allison would fall asleep on the couch. He also stated to the police that Allison did occasionally go for walks in the morning before work, but on this particular morning, he couldn't get in contact with her or anything. So Allison was meant to be back by this point. Jordan explained to them that Allison was on her way to a real estate conference on that day and should have been leaving about 7 a.m. that morning. And by this time, it was past 7 a.m., so she should have been back from her walk. The operator asked Gerald a few more details about the past 24 hours, details about his wife, including her height, her hair colour, general appearance, etc., like that, before telling Gerald that they would send 2 police officers to the family home. And also sent out a notice to all the police in the area to keep an eye out for Allison. So by 8 a.m. that morning, 2 police had arrived at the Baden Clay home. Kira Ash and Aaliyah Hammond were the police officers. Gerard Baden Clay was dressed, ready for work, and he emerged from the family home to greet the police officers. So the officers also met his sister Olivia, and Olivia was just on her way to take the 3 girls to school. Gerald's father Nigel was also still there to greet the police officers. So Constable Ash immediately noticed some scratches down the right side of Gerald's face and asked to speak to him in private. In this conversation to the police, Gerald expanded the information that he had to the police officers on the morning in the phone. So there's just shows some of the scratches that was on him. So when police asked him about his facial injuries, he claimed that it was a shaving accident. He had also stressed that morning of Allison's disappearance and began in a rush to get the girls ready. Regardless, police photographed and documented these scratches and also asked Gerald about their relationship with his wife. Gerald is quite open and honest on the topic and admitting to the officers that he had actually had an affair that Allison had found out about recently. He told them things had been a little bit rocky, but they had been seeing a marriage counsellor. He also asked the police to keep this piece of information quiet. It's strictly confidential as he didn't want his father and sister to find out. Constable Ash also noticed that Gerald's speech and mannerism this day, noting that when Gerald was speaking about himself, he would look at the officers straight in the eye, but when he was talking about Allison, he would fidget and look down. Constable Ash asked Gerald if he could look around the family home, and Gerald was happy for him to do this. In the meantime, Constable Hannum questioned Gerald further about his wife. So Constable Ash had a look around the family home, particularly looking in the bathrooms for any evidence of the shaving cuts or such, or any bloody tissues or something, but he found no evidence of this. He also noticed a baby monitor sitting in the bed on the bedside table in the master bedroom, which seemed quite odd considering the youngest daughter in the house was 5 years old. Constable Ash wasn't satisfied with Gerard Baden Clay's story and so he phoned his supervisor. So Senior Sergeant Norell Curtis, along with Sergeant Jackson, arrived at the Baden Clay home. Soon after, the call was made to assess the situation for themselves. So Gerald continues to openly and willingly answer the police's questions and opening up about his financial problems, his marriage problems at the time. However, he was becoming increasingly frustrated when answering the same questions, repeatedly stating that he was happy to answer as many questions as they had, but he just wanted to go out and look for his wife. The same day, Gerald phoned another woman, Tony McCure, and Tony had worked with Gerald, so here she is. He had worked with Gerald at the real estate business, and she was also the woman that Gerald had been having an affair with. So Gerald and Tony stated that their affair in August 2018, and in September of 2011, Allison had found out about the affair, and that's when it ended until 3 months later. They rekindled their secret romance. So Tony McHugh was supposed to be at the real estate conference that day as well, and she happened to be the exact same conference that Allison was due to go to. Tony had only found out the night before from Gerald that Allison would be attending the same conference, as he would be, and of course, she did not think it was a good idea for the mistress and the wife to be attending the same conference together. She was not happy about this, and she actually expected a confrontation with Allison. So that day, she demanded that Gerald tell Allison that they had continued their affair and end their marriage for good. So it kind of shows some of the pressures this guy was under. However, Tony had not seen Allison at the conference at all that day. During that phone call, Geraldine mentioned to Tony that Allison was missing, and Tony was shocked just if they had gotten into a fight, presumably about their affair. However, Geraldine said that had not happened. Tony stated to Geraldine that she not be made feel to be feel would not be made to feel guilty about Allison's disappearance, and in response, Geraldine told Tony that they should lay low in their relationship for a while. Tony told Geraldine that she loved him before hanging up the phone. So the Allison Baden Clay case was one of the biggest missing person investigations since Daniel McColcom. And he was, if you remember, a 13-year-old boy that was abducted in 2003. So the police and firefighters, SES, friends, family, and local residents were all out in Brookfield, and they were all searching for Allison by this point. So there was a command post was also set up at the Brookfield Showgrounds, and Priscilla and Jeff Dickey, which were Allison's parents, were at the command center post day in and day out, just waiting for any hope for someone to come forward with information on their missing daughter. It was also noted by the media that Geraldine was not present during any of the searches or present at the commando post at any time. So conflicting reports say that he was told not to partake, while others say that it was his decision not to partake. So it's just, Jimmy, we don't know. However, it was noted that Geraldine kept extremely low profile during the time, regardless of where he was. In fact, Gerard Baden Clay made a pretty concrete effort to avoid all media the days following Allison's disappearance, even running from reporters numerous times. So the search parties involved people who walking door to door. They walked paths that Allison would walk on her regular walks in an effort to try and find any trace of Allison. Allison Baden Clay was being treated as a missing persons case and not as a criminal investigation. At least that is what the media was reporting at the time. So, Police Superintendent Mark Ainsworth publicly stated that Gerald Baden Clay was not a person of interest in Allison's case. Days passed and there was still no sign of Allison, so police set up a major incident room at the Inapility Police Station to further investigate Allison's disappearance. 2 days after Allison went missing, on Sunday, April the 2nd, at 3 p.m., a rather strange incident occurred involving Gerald Baden Clay. Gerald was involved in a car accident, so he crashed a borrowed car into a bus terminal. He'd been traveling at 50 kilometers an hour and had not attempted to brake, so Gerald was seen crawling out of the wreckage, using his arms to drag the rest of his body along as if he was paralyzed. A 17-year-old boy had spotted the accident and ran to help Gerald. However, the 17-year-old stated that Gerald Baden Clay was just asking for his lawyer, and he was repeatedly just saying sorry and repeatedly asking for a lawyer. According to witnesses, when paramedics finally arrived at the scene and asked Gerald if he had any pain anywhere, he applied all over the body. It was revealed that Gerald had undergone medical tests for all of his physical injuries. On the day Allison went missing, he was being called back for further examinations of these injuries, and he had a red like red scratch type markings on his chest, which Jordan claimed was an allergic reaction to a caterpillar bite. However, it was confirmed that in that area, no such caterpillar would cause such a reaction or bite. He also had an injury on his right hand and had been on the way for further examinations when he got into the car crash. It was speculated that the crash was an effort by Jordan to cover up any of the previous injuries that he had. So making it almost impossible for a medical examiner to know which ones were old injuries or which ones were new injuries from the car crash. So this would also explain him dragging himself along the ground despite not being injured, let alone not being paralyzed when he had the car crash. Allison's parents, Jeff and Priscilla, made an emotional public plea for information on their missing daughter. So Priscilla stated, "Please help us." This is what she said. "Please help us find our dear Allison. As a mother, please help find our dear Allison. Our lives will never be the same. We must find her." By this point, it had become a nationwide story, and it wasn't just the local community wanting to know what had happened to Allison. Any newspapers with Allison's face on them would just sell out. The whole of Australia wanted answers to know where she was or what had happened. So on April 24th, Gerard Baden Clay spoke with media briefly, and this was the first time that he was speaking with them since Allison's disappearance. He spoke with them outside of his parents' home, and when he was where he was staying at the time with his three daughters, while investigators searched their family home, and he had his sister by his side. Jordan stated, "I'm trying to look after my children at the moment. We've got three young girls, and we really trust that the police are doing everything that they can to find my wife, and we just hope that she'll come home soon." The reporter asked about the injuries in the car crash a couple of days ago. Jordan reported, "I am hurt a little bit, but I'm okay. Thanks for your concern." So Jordan's family continued to stick by him and support him during the whole ordeal. So April 26, police seized bags from the Baden Clay family home and from Gerald's work office as well. A prayer vigil was also held on April 27th. Police stepped up the search efforts by placing a mannequin on the road dressed as Allison was on the day that she went missing in an effort to jog the community's memory, or for those that may have seen her on that morning, I mean, just to jog anyone to see if there was a witness that may have not realized that they'd seen the person that had gone missing. The same method was used with Daniel McColcom, and that was a really helpful one in his case, so they were hoping it would be again. The mannequin was placed outside of the home, and the clothing was in accordance to what Geraldine had said she would be wearing on that morning. Allison went missing. Emergency crews also widened the searches on that day. Gerard Baden Clay had released a brief public statement during this time, thanking the media and the public for their support, stating that his priority was the welfare of his missing wife and his three children. On April 28th, police admitted that they had few leads despite the massive investigation that was going on. On April 30th, a body was found by a canoeist at the Cola Creek Bridge and at the creek's bank, which is about 13 kilometres away from the Baden Clay home. It is speculated that this was Allison's body. So I've just got some pictures of the bridge where they found it. So it was speculated that this was her body, but it was unknown due to the decomposition of the body. And the next day, on May the 1st, it was confirmed to be Allison Baden Clay. 11 days since her disappearance, the next day on May the 1st, it's confirmed to be her body. So that same day, Gerard Baden Clay lodged a claim on his wife's life insurance policy. It was thought that the body, which was severely decomposed and unidentifiable from the looks along, had been there for the 11 days and still been wearing, she was still wearing his wedding ring. Police announced to that the Allison Baden Clay was now a murder investigation, and in fact, they had been looking into the case as an unlawful homicide for some time by this point. But the media had, the most part, treated as Allison was a missing person case, pretty much up until they found the body. So Gerard Baden Clay stated that he was devastated by his wife's death. He released a statement through his lawyer stating that his main priority now was to take care of his 3 girls. He said that he'd like to give his daughter some normalities and some stability despite the media always being around. So Alison's funeral is held on May the 11th in Ipswich. There was over 700 mourners who turned out to remember Allison, and that was including their 3 daughters was there. That was at the funeral. So the autopsy and the toxology reports are saved by the detectives, and not too long after Alison's body was found. However, the results weren't released to the public. Alison's full autopsy report is actually available online for those who want to deep dive into it. I did read it myself and it was very graphic, so I didn't want to bring it on here. But the detectives stated that they are confident that Allison knew her killer, and also during this time, police took Geraldine in for an informal interview. At the police station, which lasted several hours. Geraldine maintained his original story 8 weeks after Allison Baden Clay had disappeared. On June the 13th, Gerald Baden Clay is remanded in custody and formally interviewed by the police. He was charged with the murder of his wife Allison and charged with interfering with the corpse. The news shocked the community and made headlines all around Australia. Geraldine maintained his innocence and states that he was still defending the charges. So on June the 22nd, Geraldine applies for bail, but he was denied because he was considered a flight risk. So on December 14th, Geraldine's defence lawyer lodges a bail application at the Supreme Court. His lawyer argues that the federal prosecution case had been weakened by the post-mortem results. So the post-mortem results revealed that there were traces of an antidepressant in Allison's system, leaving open the possibility that Allison Baden Clay took her own life. The bail application was also again rejected. So March 11th of 2013, the committal hearing begins, and it is argued that Gerald Baden Clay had a financial motive for murdering his wife, and it is ordered that nearly $800,000 from the 2 life insurances of Allison's be withheld from Geraldine until he faces trial again. Also, it claimed that Gerald Baden Clay murdered his wife Allison to get her out of the way so that he could be with his mistress Tony. Allison actually had wrote in her diary about her husband's affair with Tony, as well as their marriage troubles. So I'll read part of Allison's diary entries where she does touch on the relationship, and this is from the 8th to the 12th, 2010. It was titled Defending the Problem Relationship or Rescue. I think I have a copy of it next. So this was a bit that she wrote in her diary. She had 8 points visible on the page. So number 1, tend to deny most of things. 2, I'm happiest when I'm loved. 3. Sometimes I am lazy. 4. What makes me angry is I don't get my way. 5. I wish my husband loved me like he did before we were married. 6. I hate it when my husband treats me like shit. 7. When I get angry, I go into my cave and hide. 8. I would give anything if my partner would love me and make love to me as well. So a forensic examiner had also brought in and discussed the injuries that were on Sheldon's face. The examination stated that he believed that the injuries were caused by fingernails and not a shaver, as Sheldon had told the police. Allison's friend, Kerry Ann Walker, she was one of the first of 40 witnesses to testify. The Queensland MP, Dr. Bruce Flank, was also amongst the witnesses, and he claimed that the night that Allison went missing, he heard screams, but he did not report it to the police because he did not believe it was a criminal matter. As I said, they were treating it as a missing persons and not a criminal case. So Tony May Jordan's former mistress was also another witness. Tony stated that Jordan told her to lay low after his wife had disappeared. Jordan also told Tony that he could not afford a divorce. It was also revealed at the hearing that Jordan was under a significant financial pressure to a former real estate partner as well, who found out about the affair and told him to either leave his wife or leave his mistress, or they would lose their business associations. So neighbours from the alleged crime scene near the Baden Clay home and the creek where Allison was found reported hearing screams, arguing, a thud and tyres screeching the night before Allison was reported missing. Witnesses Fiona White also said she heard 2 loud screams coming from the creek as if someone was falling off a cliff. Gerard Baden Clay still pleaded not guilty and was ordered to stand trial in the Supreme Court. Olivia, Jordan's sister, stood by her brother's side the whole time, making a statement outside of the court to the media saying that Jordan was still an innocent man and that she was there to continue to support him. So on February the 3rd, 2014, they retired another hearing, and an email was sent from Gerard Baden Clay to his mistress, Tony. Is revealed that it was sent on April the 1st, 2012, and from the alias Bruce Overland. The email stated that I have given you your commitment and I intend to stick to it. I'll be separated by the 1st of July. It's also stated things are agony for me. Leave it to me now, I love you. So you can kind of see that what was in his mind as well at the time. So after 1,500 lines of inquiry, 500 witness statements, and 2 years since Allison's murder, the trial finally began in the Brisbane Supreme Court on June the 12th, 2014. It was a trial by jury, and Gerard Baden Clay still pleads not guilty to all of the charges. So on the first day of trial, the jury was shown graphic photos of Allison's body. The photos showed the long hair laying on the side, her arms dressed in what appeared to be exercise gear. The body was swollen and in advanced stages of decomposition due to the elements that she had been laying in. Her jumper was inside out and pulled over her head as though she had been dragged, and it was revealed during the trial that the post-mortem examination could not identify Allison's cause of death due to how decomposed her body was. However, it was not believed that she died of natural causes. It was thought that the jumper may have been used to strangle Allison. There had also been injuries on Allison's body. There could have been results of a blunt force trauma, but this could not be 100% confirmed because the only visible fractures on Allison's body was a chipped tooth and a little bit of bruising. So the injuries on Gerard Baden Clay's body was explained by the team in some shape or form during the trial. So Gerard originally stated that they claimed to be facial injuries from shaving. They claimed that a mark on his neck was from where Gerald had smacked a caterpillar that landed on him, and he had injuries on his hand while helping a friend with renovations the day before Allison went missing. The marks on Gerald's chest, however, could not be explained away. A razor was even examined during the court proceedings to determine whether or not a razor could possibly cause the injuries to Gerald's face. DNA testing presented in the court confirmed that the blood found in the boot of Allison's four-wheel drive and on the door of the car were, in fact, Allison's blood. Plant samples from Allison's body, particularly in her hair, matched plant samples from the Baden Clay house. So these pieces of evidence was demonstrated to the court, and it was possible or likely that Allison had been hurt in her own home and then transported in her own car to the creek bed. The defense, however, portrayed Allison as a woman struggling with depression and the pressures of life, and this is what forced her to take her own life. This was disputed by two GPs and psychologists all that had treated Allison, and they all said that she was not a suicide risk. The court also heard that Gerard Baden Clay's former secretary, who stated that Gerard had made her clear out any evidence from Tony in the office before Allison had started working there. The jury also heard the recordings of Allison's daughters during police interviews on the day that she disappeared. The youngest daughter stating, "Mummy went off for a walk. I think she twisted her ankle." Gerard Baden Clay wept upon hearing his daughters' voices, and when Gerard Baden Clay took the stand, he told them that he wanted his family to stay together forever, but stayed because he just wanted sex. Defense counsel Michael Bryan closed the case by stating that there were too many gaps in the prosecution's case to convict Gerard Baden Clay of the murder. And just as a bit of a side note, it was claimed since the trials a verdict by Allison's cousin that Gerald controlled every aspect of her life, going as far as using the baby monitors to spy on his wife, which would explain the baby monitors that I mentioned in the master bedroom at the beginning. The cousin Jody Dan said that Gerald would also not let her have control of any of the finances regarding anything, and insulting her appearance all the time, and also was involved in several other affairs as well. Jody also stated that Allison was controlled in every aspect of her life. He wouldn't let her have bank cards and would only give her bits of cash to spend. He was always at her about getting not He was always at her about getting fat. She felt worthless and was always traumatized by the things that he would say. The trial ended up lasting 6 weeks, and on July 15th, a verdict of guilty was read out. So Gerard Baden Clay was found guilty of murdering his wife, Allison, and of deposing of the body. So in sentencing, Justin John Bryant stated that Allison's death was not premeditated, but it was of violence, and had suggested that you smothered Allison, and that looks like what they'd seen, whatever your violent attack caused her death, and your shameful conduct after murdering Allison bespeaks a profound absence of remorse. So the case against Gerard Baden Clay was, for the most part, despite this, he was sentenced to life in jail with a minimum non-parole period of 15 years. Outside of the courtroom, when the guilty verdict was read out, Allison's family and friends released yellow balloons. Yellow was being Allison's favourite colour, in memory. However, this was not the end of things for Allison's family or for Gerald. The following year, on August 7th, 2015, Gerard Baden Clay appeals his conviction, claiming that he is a victim of miscarriage of justice. His legal team argues that his conviction should be overturned because Gerald may have accidentally killed his wife during an argument about his mistress, and in a panic covered up the body. So on December the 8th, the Queensland Court of Appeal makes a decision to downgrade Gerald's conviction of murder to manslaughter. The main difference being the amount of years which Gerald would have to be served. Manslaughter being less years than, of course, the murder. They felt it had not been proven in court that Gerard Baden Clay had intentionally killed his wife, but the following year in 2016, things would change again, and in an unusual move, the Queensland Director of Public Prosecution appealed against the downgrade on August 31st, 2016. So the High Court reinstated Gerard Baden Clay's murder conviction. So this is now closed indefinitely, and Gerald has no further avenues of appeal, which means that he would have to serve out the life sentence with the minimum parole period of 15 years. Allison's father was also appointed executive over the state, and it was ruled that Gerald would not benefit at all from any of the policies that was on his wife. It's been reported that Gerald is somewhat a model prisoner. He is polite, quiet, and keeps to himself. He has a job in the jail, which allows him to buy things like extra toiletries, and his good behaviour continues. He could be moved to a better living situation. It is said that Gerald still wears his wedding ring and has photos of himself and Allison, including photos of their wedding day, pinned to the board of his cell. And from what I understand, his 3 daughters have no contact with their father anymore. Now, I have to say how wrong I truly think that this is, that they can have photos of their victims up in their cells. It just drives me crazy. I know that they were in a relationship, but I personally just think that's wrong. So since their daughter's murder, Allison's parents, Jeff and Priscilla Dickey, have since spoken about the abuse that their daughter was subject to during the marriage, and they stated that they wish they had done more to help her escape the controlling marriage. They said that months before the murder, their daughter was slowly cut off. They said that Gerald started deleting their number on Allison's phone, that their phone number was blocked from the landline, and that their daughter Allison was told that their landline had just broken. They said that also becoming more and more isolated from their family and friends leading up to the murder, Priscilla said that when she tried to raise concerns, her son-in-law just told her to butt out. Priscilla stated, "I think that she was frightened of him. He was very domineering man. He ruled the roost regardless. They feared that if they interfered, that Gerald may potentially hurt Allison or the girls, and they felt that by sharing their story, or maybe any part of it, that they could help someone else who was in a similar situation to speak up or escape." On July 31st, 2015, the Allison Baden Foundation was launched, and it aims just to create a community in Queensland that is aware of the domestic violence and family violence. And I'll link the website below in my description to the foundation if you're interested in going to have a look. So I'm going to end the live here by saying that if someone you know is in a similar situation to Allison, there is help out there. And I'm going to leave some numbers also in the description if you need any help. I've made a little video also in memory of Allison, and I'll play it before I end. So I'll move this one. So thank you for joining me and listening to Allison's story. And if you found this interesting, please like, comment, or subscribe and share. I hope you all have an amazing day, and I'll see you all next time. Thank you.